See you. Have a good presentation.
Well, you have a great show.
Thank you.
What are you talking about?
What we discussed at dinner, that topic.
Which one, about friends?
No, we discussed a lot, but about like just toxic masculinity and things like that.
Yes, that's right. You did say that.
Also, talking about, you like rap, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Or maybe I don't know. Do I strike you as a country girl? Country sister?
No, but I just didn't want to assume. Talking about like the best like rap duets. And it's hard to find duets in rap because, you know, there's collabs and then there's duets.
Like, you mean duets as far as
Kind of like sharing sharing the content back and forth. And
yeah.
so I kind of found the best ones that I could find out of all the rap songs. But it's tough because it's mostly collabs, and, you know, Lil Wayne being featured on a song isn't really necessarily a duet.
You got Drake on there?
He almost made the list with what's his face. Well, actually, no. Drake is on there with
Future.
21 Savage.
21 Savage. Because Drake did a whole album with Future and 21 Savage.
Yeah, I've got him in. I didn't want it to be an all Drake list because he has more, but I put him on there once with 21.
Yeah.
Which I like that song a lot. It's called On BS. Take a listen to it. It's good.
I'll listen to the show as I'm getting ready.
Yeah, it sounds good. Let me know how it... Or just interject and get on Facebook and...
Get on Facebook Live and say something?
Yeah, get on...
Yeah, I should have some time because I'm not getting on the road until 5 o'clock.
I always like it, though, when people listen to the audio because it just comes across better, and you never know when I'm going to play a clip. And so that's just me. I'm more of an audio guy than a visual.
Yeah. All right, let me know if you need anything.
Okay, be careful.
All right, thanks.
See ya. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be off. Hey, Pam. Hey, Wade. Hello, what's up, everyone? I'm Adam Banks, and I'm the host of Off the Cuff. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 FM, Lexington.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome, everybody, to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks, coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you could stream the show live from the station website at radiolex.us to stream us from anywhere in the entire world. It is November the 14th, 2024, a very rainy Thursday. One of the things that upsets me about the fall is that means plenty more rain. And the days of going out and eating outside, it's over for at least 6 months. You can't really do that in the fall because of the rain and that crisp air gets in there, and then the winter makes it even colder. Yesterday, I had some dinner or lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it, with some people that I know, and we really wanted to sit outside but had to sit in the inside of the restaurant due to all the rain. But we were having dinner, and something happened at dinner, and it prompted me to do a whole topic over what happened at my dinner yesterday with the group of people that I went with. And we all went out to dinner. We were all having a great time, conversing back and forth with one another. And one of my friends at the table was checking out his nails to see if he had anything in his nails. And the other guy at the table looked at him and said, "Don't do that. That's gay. Don't do that. That's gay." And I looked at him with a little bit of confusion. So I asked him, I said, well, because my friend was silent, he didn't say anything. He kind of just brushed it off. But I was really confused by what he said, because he said that was gay. The fact that he looked at his fingernails. And I said, well, what do you mean by that exactly? What do you mean by that's gay? And he said, well, there is a certain way that men are supposed to look at their fingernails. If you're supposed to close your fist and look at your fingernails if you're a man, because that's more masculine. And if you hold your hand out flat and look at your nails, that's considered more feminine. And I said, well, you didn't call him feminine, you called him gay. I'm just confused as to why him looking at his nails, you called him gay. Because, folks, the definition of gay is pretty simple. Gay means you are a man that is sexually attracted to another man. Or you are a woman who is sexually attracted to another woman. So the notion that our actions and how we move and how we talk, the notion that those things is what determines sexual orientation in society blows my mind. Because I know that a lot of people hear certain things in society, a lot of men, and I'm talking about men mostly. There's this toxic masculinity that has been around in society for a long time. There's this rigid expectation about how men in society are supposed to act. And there is a very narrow definition of masculinity that many men are expected to conform to. And any deviation away from this norm can result in you being called gay, regardless of the actual context and regardless of your real, true sexual orientation. It seems like in society, men are labeled gay based off their cadence, or how high their voice is, or how low their voice is, or how they move, or how they sit. And I started doing some research on this topic because I said, you know what? That happens all of the time. I remember in school, guys were afraid to sit down and cross their legs in fear of being called gay. Not called feminine, but gay. And folks, that's two different definitions. Feminine and gay means two separate things. So there's this notion out there that society determines what sexual orientation you are based off your actions and your cadence and the way you carry yourself. So I did some research online to look more into this topic, and I actually found a fascinating article that the everyday things men have been told not to do because it's, quote, gay. And I use gay in quotations. And folks, there's a ton of behavioral things on this list, a few anti-gay, just this rhetoric here that people have on men when they deviate away from anything considered masculine in society. For instance, a lot of people were sharing on this article the things that they do every day they're told not to do because it's, quote, gay. For instance, if a man puts on sunscreen, a lot of men says that's gay. I don't know when protecting yourself from UV rays was had anything to do with your sexual orientation, but that is one thing somebody said. Another strange one that somebody heard says that he was told that two guys cannot drive around in a convertible with the top down because that's, quote, gay. Not feminine, not girly, but gay. And folks, again, I'm harping on the gay definition here. Just because you ride with another dude in a convertible with the top down, how does that have anything to do with sexual orientation? Eating soup was on this list. Some guy said that a friend told him that eating soup makes him look gay. Another person wrote, I've heard before that two guys can't sit next to each other in a movie theater if it's not crowded. Isn't that something? A lot of people feel uncomfortable if there is a row of empty seats, and they don't want to sit beside. If you're a dude, you don't want to sit beside another dude because you're going to be afraid of being labeled gay. To me, I don't sit beside other people in a non-crowded row because I like comfort. I like to space out. It has nothing to do with the fear of being labeled gay. Another person in this article said, my dad called me gay for eating a salad at lunch one time. And I was in the first grade. Yeah, that's some real good parenting there. Based off what you eat, you're labeling somebody as gay. Another person said in this article that drinking wine in small town southern USA is looked down upon because guys drink beer and girls drink wine. He said, some dude looked at my glass of wine and gave me a beer at a party once because he said, don't drink wine if you're a dude. That's gay. Another person wrote, I had a male friend who wouldn't drink through a straw because someone said, you look gay when you use a straw. So, folks, there is a ton of different traits that men do every day. Maybe cross their legs. Instead of having the ankle on the knee, they might cross their leg entirely. Just because they sit like that doesn't mean that they swing in a certain direction sexually. It doesn't. I know a ton of straight men who sit with their legs completely crossed. And on contrary, I know a lot of gay men who sit with their legs the, quote, masculine way. Don't judge a book by its cover. Anymore, you don't know what anybody likes, and you should never judge somebody on what they like based off how they act, how they talk. There's this notion out there that if a guy has a really high-pitched voice, he's gay. And there's this notion out there that if a guy talks really deep, he's very masculine and straight. Oh, that's poppycock, is all I call that. Another guy said moisturizing, using conditioner, or spending time on skincare is something he feels uncomfortable doing because people will call him gay for it. Another person said running for a train or a bus. Another one says using an umbrella if you're a guy. And so many more on here. Finally, the last one here, a Facebook friend posted she would never let her man wear flip-flops because that's gay. No, I'll just say this about flip-flops. Men don't wear flip-flops because nobody wants to see your dirty, hairy toes floating around. That's disgusting. Feet, in general, to me, are disgusting, but I don't want to see no hairy toes. And women, that goes for you too. If you got hairy toes, I don't want to see hairy toes. But there is this culture that we live in, full of toxic masculinity. And if men deviate away from certain masculine behaviors, they're labeled gay, and that is just ludicrous. Gay means one thing. You are a person who likes the same sex as you. It doesn't have anything to do with how you walk or how you talk or how you carry yourself. 2024, you would think it's gotten better, and I would say in some ways it has. But we need to stop with the stereotyping and the labeling in this world. That conversation that happened at dinner yesterday with the group of people that I was with got pretty heated because I took up for my friend who was just didn't really know what to say back to him. And you know what? I don't know the sexual orientation of my friend that he's called gay. But if he is gay, it's not because he checks his fingernails with his hand flat out. It's because, guess what? He's just sexually attracted to the same sex. That's what gay is. So we got to stop with the notion that sexual orientation is determined based on how people act, because it's not. We got a great show ahead of you today, right here on Off the Cuff Without a Bank. Stick with us. You are listening to WLXU 93.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Thea M. Mason of Thea's Bass and Bitty Kitchen, LLC, located in the Gray Line Station on the corner of Loudon and Limestone. You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people. WLXU 93.9 LP FM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Radio Lex only exists in our community because of the generosity of supporting members like Kia Arnold. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to the voice of the people. To learn how you can become a supporting member, visit radiolex.us/donate.
Did you know that traffic crashes are the leading cause of death and disability in children? Are your kids as safe as they can be in your car? Kids 12 and under should be in the back seat. Kids 2 and under should be in rear-facing car seats. Children shorter than 3.5 feet should be in car seats. Booster seats should be used until age 8 or until your child is 57 inches tall. Car seats should be replaced after 6 years of use. Hi, this is Drew Griggs with State Farm, reminding you to be a good neighbor and follow child restraint laws.
Radio Lex has the support of JLD Incorporated. JLD Incorporated, KY.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Will Smith and Lil' Kim with this banga, The Butter. Will Smith has a new song out, by the way, and he's actually going hard with his lyrics in the song. Usually, a typical rap Will Smith song is very elementary, very PG. Listen to his new song, folks. It's off the beaten path for a normal song for Will Smith. But this song right here is from his 2K Millennium album that he come out with like 99-ish, 2000-ish. And he had a great duet on that album with Lil' Kim. It's called The Butter. And folks, on this show before, we've talked about some great duets. We talked about some of the best duets in country music. We've talked about some of the best duets in pop music and R&B. But today on the show, folks, I would like to revisit that topic of some of the best duets, but in the genre of rap. Rap, believe it or not, is not a genre that has many duets, because there is a difference between doing a collab on a song and doing a duet with a song. Now, a collab is basically when you have a featured artist just appear on your song and comes out, says a few verses, and then goes off your song. But a duet is a song where really the song's content, the lyrics are shared. Each artist has the same amount of singing time. That's really the difference between a duet and a collab. So rap music, you don't really find many duets. You find a lot of collabs, but as far as duets, there's not many. But there are, in fact, some, and I have compiled a list, folks, of some of the best rap duets of all time. And we will start with The Butta by Will Smith and Lil' Kim. But, folks, there are a lot more on this list besides Will Smith and Lil' Kim. For instance, we've got Money Ain't a Thing by Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri. You'll notice how the two rap artists are sharing the song with the equal amount of singing time. This track is a duet between Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri, showcasing their chemistry and effortless style. The song's catchy hook and smooth beat highlights both artists' confidence and swagger, making it a banger in the late 90s. But folks, there's more than just this song. There's Guilty Conscious by Eminem and Dr. Dre. They teamed up on this track to explore moral dilemmas through a narrative-driven format. Eminem's got that rapid-fire verse, and Dre's got just production, and together, their powers are unstoppable. They tell a story back and forth. Take a listen. I love this song because Eminem plays the devil on one man's shoulder and Dr. Dre plays the angel on one man's shoulder, and they're kind of just arguing their points in this rap song about why the man should do evil or why the man should do good. It's an amazing song. This was back in 1999. This is during Eminem's Slim Shady era. Dr. Dre was very quintessential in Eminem's career. So it only makes sense that Dr. Dre and Eminem teams up for a few duets. This is not their only duet they've done together, but I think it's the best one. See what I mean? Eminem's supposed to be the devil on the shoulder, and Dr. Dre's supposed to be the angel on the shoulder of the man. All right, folks, next up on the list of one of the best rap duets of all time is from Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg with their banger Nothing But a G Thing, released in 1992. What a classic. This is from Dr. Dre's debut album. This song is iconic for its laid-back West Coast vibe and seamless duet between Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Their smooth delivery and the track's influential beat makes this song an iconic song in the hip-hop industry. But folks, there are more great rap duets out there. For instance, you've got this rap song right here between Bow Wow and Sierra, a male rapper and a female rapper doing a duet together with their song Like You, released in 2005. Bow Wow and Sierra, these two rappers on this song, actually dated in real life. They both, during the release of this song, were in the peak of their careers in the early 2000s. This song has an infectious beat, and it's got a catchy chorus, and it's paired with the artist's youthful energy and chemistry, making it a memorable hit from that era. Like I said, folks, there's not many rap duets, but when you find them, they're always good. I love this one. All right, next up on my list, folks, is one of the best rap duets of all time. Comes from David Banner and Lil Flip with their song Like a Pimp, released in 2003. This track stands out for its energetic production and catchy hooks. This collab highlights both artists' charisma and their ability to create a party anthem. All right, yeah, what an amazing song by those guys right there. All right, next up on the list, folks, is one of my favorite songs in rap. And this is from Drake and 21 Savage on BS. This is a song that was released back in 2022. And this is a song with a dark, moody beat, but it showcases the two's chemistry together. Now, they've got a lot of great songs that they sing together, but I feel like this is one of the best ones. And unfortunately, folks, this is the explicit one, is why the music's turned down so low. I thought I had the edited version, but unfortunately, this is the explicit. So to avoid any cursing, let's go ahead and skip the song and go to our next one. And folks, our next one is Roses by Outkast, released in 2003. This song is by a rap group, and they always did duets together. Roses is a track from Outkast's critically acclaimed double album Speakerbox. The song features both Andre 3000 and Big Boy, showcasing their distinctive lyrical styles and creative storytelling. So when you got a rap group, of course you're going to have duets. Rap groups usually sing duets together. That's usually where you get most of your rap duets from, is from rap groups. People like, why am I having a blank on that one rap group? Rackham something. Shoot. And they're one of my favorite rap groups. But Outkast, back in the 2000s, was a great rap group. Does Outkast even still make new music? If so, I've not heard anything from them, but they did enough in their early career to where they're always going to be known in the music industry. And folks, just one more song here on the list as one of the best rap duets of all time, and that comes from The Game and 50 Cent with their rap song Hate It or Love It. This song was released in 2005, and it is a notable duet between The Game and 50 Cent. This song combines storytelling with a catchy hook, and their contrasting delivery styles create a dynamic that makes this track very memorable. It's also recognized for its introspective lyrics and strong production. So, folks, there are plenty of other great rap duets out there, but I feel like that the ones that I included on my list are the notable ones to bring up and discuss. Again, rap is one of those genres that don't have many duets in it. Most of the songs you hear with two artists in there is collabs, which is something different. But they do have some duets. And those that I played for you, I feel like are the best. So I do hope that you enjoyed that, especially all of you hip-hop heads out there. But folks, stick with us. We still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming at you live after these words. Stick with us. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Lane from Life in the Fast Lane, and you're listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 LPFM.
Let's go places safely, Lexington. Are you under the influence? If you're taking prescription medications, you may be. Prescription drugs are involved in half of fatalities among drunk drivers. Benzodiazepines and opioids are the most common. Some antidepressants can increase crash risk by 40%. A common ingredient in over-the-counter cold medicines can impair your ability to maintain speed, follow at a distance, and maintain your lane. Hi, I'm Bev from Toyota, reminding you to talk to your doctor or pharmacist about driving risks that may be associated with your medications.
It takes a great community to make great community radio. Radio Lex can't do it without you. Support the voice of the people today. Visit radiolex.us/donate and support Lexington's community radio right now.
이번 겨울 독감 예방주사와 코로나19 예방접종을 받으셔서 가족, 친구, 그리고 자신을 보호하십시오. lfchd.org를 방문하셔서 자세한 내용을 알아보시고 우리 모두 꼭 예방접종을 받읍시다.
Radio Lex only exists in our community because of the generosity of supporting members like Richard Seckel. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to the voice of the people. To learn how you can become a supporting member, visit radiolex.us/donate.
Everybody to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. It is time to put on that safety harness if you are driving, because today's national holiday is National Seatbelt Day, which is observed annually every November on the 14th. More than 46,000 people are killed in car accidents in the U.S. every year, and an estimated 4.4 million people sustain injuries that require medical attention. Direct medical costs add up to more than $300 million, and using safety belts helps save lives and minimize the risk of serious injuries. Now, when I was 16 years old, I used to think not wearing a seatbelt was cool, and wearing a seatbelt was considered lame and uncool. And that's until you end up meeting someone who gets into a car accident because of, and has very horrible injuries due to no seatbelt, or you see the devastation after an accident knowing that the driver or the passenger never had their seatbelt on once they crashed their car. The seatbelt is a very simple thing to put on when you get into the car. It should be like a natural reaction when you get into a car. It's like putting on deodorant when you put on your shirt. When you put on your shirt, you should be reminded, hey, I need to put on some deodorant. When you get into your car, it should just be second nature just to go ahead and pull that seatbelt right across from you and latch it. Wearing your seatbelt is so, so important, folks. And in 1855 is when the seatbelt was first created by a man named Edward Claghorn. In 1954, the Sports Car Club of America imposes a rule where bus drivers must wear seatbelts during competitions. You know, where drivers must wear seatbelts during competitions, not bus drivers. Just in general, just racers need to wear seatbelts. The fact that they used to race without seatbelts anyway blows my mind. But since I said school buses on accident, let me just go ahead and get off on that. The fact that school buses are still on the road and have no seatbelts on them confuses me. Now, I am not an engineer. I didn't engineer the safety of a bus, and I don't know why they created buses with no seatbelts for the passengers, but it just seems like it would make sense to make a seatbelt for a bus. If you are a bus engineer or you know anything about bus safety, maybe you can explain to me why there are no seatbelts on buses. The driver of the bus has to wear a seatbelt. Now, I know that on the bus you have those big tall seats that you might be slammed into instead of being slammed out the front windshield. But who wants to be slammed into a seat? Wouldn't it still be safer to be fastened in a seatbelt on a school bus? But I don't know. There has to be some science behind it. In 1958, Niles Boland invents the three-point seatbelt and donates the patent to all car manufacturers to use. In 1970, the world's first seatbelt law is introduced in Victoria, Australia. And folks, later it became a requirement in the U.S. Most states will completely, without question, pull you over if they see you without your seatbelt. Now, a lot of the times, cops will use that as probable cause just to pull you over for other reasons. But don't get mad if you get pulled over without a seatbelt. That's the law. It's for your own good. Buckle up. It makes sense if you're in a piece of metal going 80 miles per hour. It's probably best for your safety to be secured and fastened in your seatbelt instead of going 80 miles down the road with no seatbelt. If you crash into something, gravity don't lie. The forces of nature don't lie. You will be launched from your seat, and may God be with you, because the likelihood of surviving that accident is very slim. If you have a seatbelt on, I'm not saying that it's a cure-all and you're not going to get hurt, but there is a chance you may walk away with no injuries, all because of a seatbelt that you decided to put on. So if you are looking for ways to observe National Seatbelt Day, you can do three things. Number one, you could buckle up when you get in the car today. You could encourage others to wear their seatbelt. If you see somebody getting into your car and not fastening their seatbelt, say, hey, if you don't mind, put on your seatbelt for your own safety and mine. And the third thing you could do is just make a poster to make people more aware of the importance of buckling up. Here are some fascinating facts about seatbelts everyone should know. Seatbelts reduce fatalities by 45% among front seat passengers and drivers. Seatbelts cut the risk of severe injuries by 50%. Seatbelt use increased from 11% to 85%. That's amazing. From 11% to 85% over the past 30 years. So the awareness has definitely got out to society of how important a seatbelt is. I think more accidents have showed injuries versus accidents with no injuries when the person is wearing the seatbelt. Another fact is the force of an airbag can seriously hurt or even kill passengers who aren't wearing their seatbelts. And airbags don't prevent passengers or drivers from being ejected during accidents. So don't just rely on your airbag to keep you in your car. Only your seatbelt can do that. The airbag is supposed to soften the blow just a tad, but it does not by no means keep you secure in your car. And if you hit the airbag too tough, you could still die. So a way to keep you from smacking into that airbag so hard is to have your seatbelt fastened. And finally, the last fast fact about seatbelts is research shows that children whose parents wear seatbelts are more likely to buckle up. So folks, be mindful of who is watching you. Your kids usually follow you by example. So if they see you getting into a car and fastening your seatbelt, that lets them know that is important, and they should follow you by example, and they'll follow your lead. So if you are always worried about your kid getting out on the road, they're getting ready to turn 16, be mindful of that. And when you see them in the car with you, make sure they see you put on your seatbelt, and you make sure you always preach to them the importance of seatbelt laws and seatbelt safety. Because, folks, it's not just there to be mean. It's not just there for a ticket write-up for cops to meet their quota. It's really there to keep you safe on these highways. Being on the road is such a dangerous place to be, and we need to take all precautions when necessary. But folks, this seems like a good place to take off the cuffs Song of the Week break, and you know I gotta play the new Lady Gaga song when she's got one out. So enjoy her newest single, Disease, and we'll be back after the song. Hey, everybody on the thread that's watching. Good to see you. Talk to me. You guys are being quiet. I've got the song playing in the background. I can't put it on Facebook. It will kick me off. Lady Gaga's people will get in touch with my people and be like, yeah, you can't do that, Adam. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Zach, hold on, buddy. I seen a comment come up from you, and now I can't read it for some reason. I don't know why it's not letting me read my comments. I seen that you wrote something, but I can't see your comment now. But anyway, thanks for listening, man. We need to get up and do some dinner or lunch. Or breakfast. The baddest man on the planet is stepping back into the boxing ring tomorrow night. The much anticipated boxing match between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson takes place on Netflix tomorrow night. It is a live Netflix event. And folks, if you're looking at the greatest of all time when it comes to boxing, to me, it is Iron Mike Tyson. So Jake Paul is supposed to be the new face of boxing, as funny as that is. He is supposed to be the representation of what boxing is today. And Mike Tyson is the representation of what boxing was before. So this battle is kind of like legend versus legend, past versus future. And I'm all for an icon versus icon match. Now, to call Jake Paul an icon is a stretch. But you know what, folks? It's nothing to scoff at when you see Jake Paul get into the ring. He is not somebody to take lightly. As a matter of fact, he's got a pretty decent record when it comes to getting into the ring. He's got a few knockouts. Not as many as Iron Mike, but he is a force to reckon with. And the event will take place at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And like I said, it will be broadcast on Netflix Live. The event will start at 8 p.m. And it also has a card of other matches. You're going to see a rematch between two-division undisputed champion Katie Taylor and 7-division champion Amanda Serrano for Taylor's IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO's women's super lightweight titles. Both fighters, Mike and Jake Paul, will wear 14-ounce gloves instead of the standard 10-ounce gloves, typically used by heavyweight fighters. These conditions, they say, are significant as they will influence the pace and strategy of the fight. Man, what an anticipation for this fight. And just to see how Mike Tyson is going to fare with the young Jake Paul. I mean, back in his day, there was nobody that could touch Mike Tyson. He had the strongest left hook I'd ever seen. That's how they got people. They never seen it coming. He would always be powerful with his right, but his left hook, if he got you with it, bam, you're gone. You're down. Lights out. Don't you remember he knocked out the Heartbreak Kid at WrestleMania 14? So it's going to be an amazing event to watch Mike Tyson get into the ring once again. Mike Tyson has been known to knock out his competitors within the first round of the fight. The first round. It don't matter how anticipated the match was, how many millions was put into the match. The match might only last for 50 seconds. But that's just the way Mike fights. Some people say, oh, this is going to be a rigged fight for ratings, or they're going to make the fight last longer. I don't know how you can really rig a boxing match when somebody is literally getting themselves beat to a pulp. You have to stop the match if someone is in danger of getting brain damage. You have to stop the fight if somebody gets completely beat up. So if Mike gets unleashed and gets into his zone and knocks Jake Paul out, they're going to have to stop the fight, whether it's in the first round or 10th round. But regardless, the match will take place tomorrow night. I am predicting a 3rd round knockout by Iron Mike Tyson on Jake Paul, but only time will tell. But folks, we still have one more segment of Off the Cuff to go. Stick with us. We will be right back.
Some people think they can discontinue insurance on vehicles they only use for part of the year, like motorcycles, RVs, or historic cars. If your vehicle has an active registration, you must carry insurance to cover it. To avoid penalties, turn in your license plate to the county clerk's office before you cancel your policy. Hi, this is Annie with State Farm, reminding you to be a good neighbor. Keep yourself covered and obey Kentucky's auto insurance laws.
Radio Lex is proud to have the support of the Lex digital magazine that is a sweeping the nation.
It very well could be a knockout in the first round, Zach. I mean, now that, dude, we need to get together and watch that somewhere. I've got Netflix.
Call 859-429-1442 or go to www.thelextropolis.com. The Lextropolis, for the people, by the people.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last segment of the hour. Zach on the show thread says, if Tyson gets a knockout, it'll be first round. Could be. He said, personally, though, I think he's too old. The whole thing is ridiculous. If it was any other person, Zach, I would say yes, he's too old. But it is Mike Tyson. He's built different. And I tell you what, I still wouldn't get in his face. How about those Kentucky Wildcats and Mark Pope? I am beaming with pride that Kentucky seems to be going in the right direction under the new leadership of Coach Mark Pope. The Cats defeated Duke in their first major test as a college basketball team this past Tuesday, 77-72. I think a lot of people were hesitant to jump completely on the Mark Pope bandwagon until a significant game. But folks, now you have no reason. You're either in or out on Mark Pope and the Cats. If that test didn't get you excited, I don't know what will. But they passed the test pretty significantly with a big win against a great Duke team. Duke is a Final Four team. But you know what? So is Kentucky. They play their next game against Lipscomb next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Doesn't have the anticipation that the Duke game did, but you got to have your give-me's in there before conference play starts. The SEC is nothing to scoff at, and we've got a lot of talented teams in our conference. So by the time we get to our conference play, we will be ready. Of course we're going to lose. There's not going to be an undefeated season in the Mark Pope era. There just won't be. So there will be a loss. And I just ask you folks to tame your expectations, at least for the first year. And also keep in mind that losing is a part of this game. You don't win all of them. When somebody has a loss during a season, that doesn't mean the season's over. A part of this game is losing. So there will be losses that eventually occur. But just know that we have a coach smart enough, we have a coach dedicated enough, and talented enough to make adjustments and to get us where we need to be. When the Cats were struggling in the first half, Mark Pope took the Cats out during the halftime tunnel, during the halftime break, came back out and scored 5 points straight. And then went on this 10-0 run and ultimately just won the game. So he's got the smarts and the ability to adjust. And to me, that's what a great coach needs to have. And I love college basketball so much. I'm so glad to have it back. And folks, on the show before, I've talked about some of my favorite players in certain sports. I've listed off my top 10 favorite football players, my top 5 or 10 favorite baseball players, my top 5 or 10 favorite NBA players, but I've never actually told the audience who I feel like are the top 5 best college basketball players of all time. And since college basketball is in full swing, how about I just go ahead and lay out and tell you who I feel like, in my opinion, is the top 5 best college basketball players of all time. Now, I've also done a segment on this show where I have talked about the best UK players of all time. So this isn't going to be a list full of Kentucky players. As a matter of fact, not one single Kentucky player is on my top 5 list of best college basketball players of all time. But if you want to hear that top 5, top 10 Kentucky list, you can find that in our archives. But folks, I think the greatest college basketball player of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He had 26 points a game. He played for UCLA. He was the single most dominant player on the single most dominant team of all time. And he played under the name Lou Alcindor in college. And he eventually ended up changing his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He won a championship with UCLA in all 3 seasons he was eligible, which is unheard of. So Number 1 on the list, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest college basketball player to ever do it. Pete Markovich is going to be the number 2 on my list, also known as Pistol Pete. He played for LSU from 1967 to 1970. And you may be asking, Adam, what do you know about Pistol Pete? Folks, there is such a thing called YouTube. And you can go back and watch these players play. This guy was completely dominant. There's never been a better offensive player in college basketball history than Pistol Pete. And it's not even really debatable. In an era before the three-point line existed, Pistol Pete averaged more than 44 points per game in his entire career. That's before the three-point line, folks. Bill Walton is going to make the list at number 3. He played for UCLA, a very eccentric guy. He later became an announcer. Not a very good one, but he was a hell of a college basketball player. Played for UCLA from 1971 to 1974. Averaged 20.3 points a game, 15.7 rebounds per game. He was a giant, and he helped execute the final stretch of UCLA's unstoppable run in the 60s and 70s. Bill Walton was a machine for on-court production, so he has to make the list. Coming in at number 4 on the list is Christian Laettner from Duke, and yes, I did put Christian Laettner on the list. I hate Christian Laettner. I hate Duke, but man, was he a good college basketball player, and some say the best college player to ever do it. I don't necessarily think he's better than Kareem or Bill or Pistol Pete, but folks, he's going to follow my list at number 4. I mean, every year he was on a Duke team, he was either winning a national title or he was going to the Final Four. For instance, freshman year, Final Four. Sophomore year, Final Four. Junior year, championship. Senior year, championship. That's unheard of, folks. Christian Laettner was successful in every single year that he was on the team. He went to the NBA, didn't translate that well in the bigger leagues, but in college, he dominated in college. Just like how some people dominate in the NBA and not so much in college. Christian Laettner's game was college. Why he never became a college coach is beyond me. But finally, folks, on my list as one of the best UK players, or one of the best college players of all time, and on the list at number 5 is going to be from UConn, Kemba Walker. One of the best tournament performances of the 21st century come from that dude. Kemba Walker is a proven winner in college basketball. In his last year, he recorded 23 points, 4 assists a game, and most importantly, he got a championship. Anthony Davis was going to be my honorable mention. I was going to put him on the list. What hurts him, though, he only played a year. Yes, some people can say Kemba didn't play long, but Kemba also did so much more, I feel like, than Anthony on the court. Anthony definitely goes on my list as the best UK basketball player of all time, and he almost made the list on this one. But Kemba has to steal the spot from him. But those are my top 5 best college basketball players of all time. So in honor of college basketball season, I wanted to do a little topic on that. But folks, that pretty much wraps up another episode of Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. If you liked what you heard today, you'll probably like our previous episodes. We archive them all on podcast, and you can find those on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM, which means we will be back same time, same place. Before we go, let me just mention that you can follow the show on social at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me, the host, on social media at The Adam Banks. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back same time, same place. I am the King of Radio, and this is Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. I will catch you down the road. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next week.